Hello, Globies. This is a little bit of a change of pace. It involves seniors, but it's from a different perspective. It's from a perspective of grandparents who are raising grandchildren and seniors who are raising children who are other family members' children, and how it has changed their lives and, some of the challenges. I fall into that category, so that's one of the reasons I'm here. But many of you that I have spoken with tell me that you really had plans to hit the road, to be out traveling, to be doing things rather, and life took a turn. Any of you who are in this situation, add a comment down in the comment section. First grandparent raising a grandchild I'm going to speak to is Mary. Hello, Mary.
Hi, how are you?
Well, how old is the grandchild that you're raising?
13.
13. And was this an expected thing for you, or how did this come about?
It was not expected at all. My daughter had entered a job training program, and about 5 days in, I got a phone call from the director of the program saying that my daughter was being asked to leave and I needed to come pick up my grandchild.
And that was how long ago?
10 years ago.
And what did you envision your life being like at this point, and how close is your life as it is now to the vision that you had for yourself?
It's not at all close. I envisioned being retired, maybe traveling with friends, just kind of hanging out, doing a lot of theater, a lot of writing groups, book clubs, all that kind of stuff that I used to do. And now I have to think in terms of the two of us. But I am probably healthier and happier than I would have been,
Because you're staying more active, I guess.
Yes, and I have a reason to get up in the morning, every morning.
Now,
I'm more vested in life, I think, than I would have been just as a grandmother and a retired person.
Now, how about financially? What has the financial impact been to you?
It's been huge. I don't want to get into specifics, but it's been huge, especially the first couple of years before they were in school, and I was paying, for full-time daycare, and that was $10,000 to $15,000 a year.
So it is a big impact not only on your lifestyle change, but also on the finances and how it impacts you financially, having another person, and then the expenses that come along with, like you said, daycare and expenses of raising a child. Let me ask you this. How did it impact you emotionally, at least in the beginning?
Emotionally, I was pretty overwhelmed. I had other grandchildren, but I visited them and then went home.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now it's like, how do I navigate this? How do I have to bathe somebody before I go to bed. I have to cook for two. If I want to go out to do something social, I have to get daycare for, and all those kind of logistical things. And just being thrust back into, how do you take care of a little kid? I had a 3-year-old all of a sudden.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is happening to more and more seniors, more and more older folks. There are probably millions now. I don't know if they actually keep records, but what would you say to someone, a senior who is suddenly thrust into this situation? What would you suggest they do to help the transition be maybe a little bit less overwhelming?
Well, one thing I would say is do not do the guardianship route. Make sure that you do the relative approved thing, and to get as many resources as you can. I was not told there was any resource help at all. I just was given the responsibility, so I had to figure it out myself.
So getting access to resources and finding out quickly what resources are out there?
Correct. And what my legal rights and responsibilities are. I was just, probably the first 6 months I was pretty confused.
Okay.
But we made it work. But it would have been easier, like if it was a foster care situation, they have resources, they have mentorships set up, they have all these things, and there's not enough support in that direction for grandparents.
So making it a formal arrangement is what I'm hearing you say.
Correct.
Okay.
And just having all of them be formal, because we went through probate court, and the probate judges have no experience and no knowledge of child development. So they don't know what's best for a child. I had 5 minutes in court.
All right.
5 minutes on the phone to take on the responsibility and 5 minutes in court. And I wouldn't change it. You know, my life is wonderful now, but
it was hard at the beginning.
it was. And it's unfair because the foster parents have all the training and all the resources set in place before they take on the responsibility, where it's different when it's relatives and grandparents.
Clarify when, say, a family member simply drops their child off with you, that's relative to relative.
Correct.
And you don't really receive the resources that are compatible with if someone, say, CPS or the court system got involved and it was through a court order that this child was placed with you.
Yeah.
I know a lot of grandparents and relatives are afraid to go through the court systems because they think that their children or grandchildren will be snatched away from them. But from what I've heard you and many other grandparents say, that by doing it the informal way, you miss out on many of the resources that are necessary financially and emotionally and other resources that you would otherwise have as if you initially start as a foster parent.
Yes.
This is not legal advice. I want to make that clear here. But from what I've heard and what I've heard from other social workers are that they are encouraged to call the relatives and pressure them to just take the children informally because they know that it'll save the county thousands of dollars, because if you go through a formal process through CPS, then you are entitled to other services and other financial aid. Mary, thank you so much. We're going to talk to one other grandparent who's raising grandchildren and get another perspective. But for those of you who are out there in this situation, I'd love to hear from you in the comments and get something about your experiences and what has transpired with you. Meanwhile, before I introduce you to the second grandparent who I'm interviewing at an event at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park, I'm going to let you hear from Mary's grandson, Alex. So let's hear what Alex has to say about being raised by a grandparent. Oh, Alex.
Hello.
And Mary is your grandma.
Yes, she's my grandmother and has been my caretaker for 10 years.
Wow. You had me cracking up a few minutes ago when I went up to talk to Mary about interviewing her and how her life has changed. What did you say?
Before I came in the picture, my grandma got a new car and had a sunroof and it was so pretty and everything. So my grandma was like, I'm gonna get a boyfriend, I'm gonna have a nice, go into my retirement years and have a lovely life. And then I came along and I was in replacement of the boyfriend.
Well, honestly, I think you're a better replacement.
Thank you.
You know. So what is it like growing up with your grandma?
It's different, but I feel a lot of the grandkids that grow up with their grandparents are more connected with their family and their roots, and it showed me a lot of new things that I would have not known if I had stayed with my birth parents.
So you know a little more about where you came from and your history, you're saying?
Yeah, and I feel that I am way more mature and I've been given way more opportunities.
I was going to ask you that. Do you think growing up with an older person taking care of you, that you think you may adapt some more traditional values and maybe, you know, be maybe a little bit more polite, or, you know?
In my case, I definitely think that is correct in what has happened with me, but not everyone's parents are like mine. But I definitely think I'm more mature and have a better picture of life and try to be more positive and stuff like that, because I know more since I was raised by my grandmother.
Well, here for grandmas.
Yeah.
All right, Alex, thank you so much. I want to follow you in another 10 years because I think you're going to be someone to follow and watch. Such a mature, respectful young man.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you so much, Globies, for tuning in today. I am running a little bit late to get started on my live that I'm going to be doing later today. But if you are a grandparent raising grandchildren or you've had this experience, make a note in the comment. Let us know what it was like. And meanwhile, I'm going to be interviewing a second grandparent, but that'll be on another video. So stay tuned for that coming up. Take care. See you down the road.